do you really understand that there is a difference between people, someone being a Munyarwanda, but Congolese nationality, of Congolese nationality, and also being a Munyarwanda of Rwandan nationality? These are two different things. There is a present-day Republic of Rwanda, which is a sovereign country, and the DRC, a sovereign country, and people, regardless of what tribe or ethnic group they belong to, if they belong to one side of the border, they can either be Congolese, or if they belong to the other side of the border, they are Rwandans. People seem not to understand this, political history, and they end up making stories up. And this is very dangerous because people have died as a result. We're fighting a war in Eastern Congo today, which is as a result of borderlessness. The Congo letting ethnic Hutus fleeing, the fighting in Rwanda into the Congo. Some of them remnants of the former government's army and coming into the country with guns. So we're paying a price for that, because it looks like in 1984, the genocide shifted from Rwanda to the Congo. And that's what is happening right now. So these are very dangerous things, but not trying to deviate from the story, about racism in this country and also racism in a lot of other places.
Yeah, but it explains it. So
it explains it, it really explains it. So people really have to be careful, because if your thing is in the US, people are so racist. These white people hate us. You should try other places. If you really think things are horrible here, find other places.
Have you ever ran into a white person who was like, I hate you, fuck you?
No, but not like that. We also not naive. There are people who will hate you and will not say it in your face.
I think people who hate other people just based, if they don't know them, it's ignorance and prejudice.
Correct. There is a lot of that too.
They have a preconceived idea in their head that probably when I was growing up and the whole, I was a Democrat, and I was very pro-gay.
Very pro-gay.
I was very pro, if you want to do what you want to do, just don't hurt kids or animals. I really don't care.
Yeah.
Whatever you do in the privacy of your own home. And it was always the funny thing where it was and then the Republican had the gay kid, and he's like, well, I guess I don't hate gays. And I always thought that that was a nice little microcosm to be don't judge until you talk to the person. If you want to talk to the person and they're an absolute piece of shit, it doesn't matter what color or sexual preference they are. They're just a dick.
Right.
And not all people need to get along all the time.
Right.
Differences are good. If you didn't have differences, you wouldn't have progress because there's no discussion.
Yeah. Now I'll tell you something. I've seen a lot of brothers who are married to white girls.
Well, that's
hold on.
That's a unicorn.
I have a point right here. You know what the Indians do in Uganda? I'll give you a very good example. The Indians do once they have a daughter, right? And once she grows and she's into the whole puberty where she can start looking around, they get the girl and fly her back to India. Go stay there.
Because they don't want the intermixing.
See that?
Yeah.
See that? So, there are a lot of examples to look at. If you really think things are terrible in this country.
If white people in this country did that, you'd hear about it every night on the news.
Yeah, first of all.
Every night.
Yeah. Listen, I know a lot of white folks who go and buy land, and not just vacation or something. They really go and stay. They go to Kenya. They go to Tanzania, which is also relatively stable.
They buy land in Africa.
They mingle with the community. And if they run a company, all black people working for the white guy's company, they're so happy because they take care of them. These companies are audited. People come in to make sure that things are good, and including how they treat their employees.
Yeah.
Yeah, but do you think Indian companies are getting audited? Do you think the Arab companies there are getting audited? Do they really care?
Why aren't they getting audited? Why is it only the white company getting audited?
Well, it's up to you who runs the business. It's a culture, It's sometimes when we talk about the West and the influence in Africa, to some extent, it's not as terrible as people want to put it. And I would be more cautious of these other folks. Like I told you, my position on the deal that Trump was trying to sign with the government on the minerals. And I said, well, I want American companies to get in because people will have some respect, But when you have the Chinese people, these people are just aggressive and they're after the money. They don't care about anything, Do American companies also do damage, to the environment and all that? Absolutely, But when it comes to treating people, I'm talking about treating black people. The white folks have reached a point where they don't it's not like the way it was in the past. They don't continue to look at black people as useless people, as animals. That is something of the past. Are there some white people who still think like that? Absolutely. Are there black people who are prejudiced against white people? Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? Like at that point, people have to be careful. In this country, things have really gone too far better than the way it was in the past. And there are a lot of examples where you can look at and compare. And I think if you're blaming America so much, I want you to pause and think twice.
Well, I mean, there's a huge problem with I hate to say it, but like, if white men are told that they're awful, terrible people,
Mm-hmm.
and they're the reason for suffering of so many people, and these white men, and I'm just looking at it as like tall men. I'm just saying like white men, as in tall men or short men or whatever.
Yeah.
It's not used to be like a racial thing, but that's the group that's being targeted. And what do you expect them to do? Like, how do you expect them to react eventually?
Right. So, bro, listen, that comes down to patriarchy. And I think it's so naive to think patriarchy is just with white folks. Like, give me a break. I come from a family, from a tribe that is extremely patrilineal. My sister is younger than me, when you go to tradition and culture, So she can decide, but at the end of the day, I'm making the final word.
So in your culture, so like if your sister, okay, explain it to me.
Listen, so the men run the show.
Okay.
When you're born as a child, you belong to your father.
Okay.
So if I want land, I want resources, it's my father's side. And we don't call them uncles. They're all your fathers from your father's side.
Oh, really?
So my father's big brother is also my father, my big father. Bamukuwa in Swahili, my big father. My father's younger brother is my small father.
Okay.
He's also
a
father.
Yeah.
We don't call them uncles. Uncles are just from the mom's side. So
really?
Yes.
This is amazing.
Right. So, there's a lot of, patriarchy in a lot of African societies. This is not a white people thing, it's universal.